We're going to wait just another minute or two to get everyone in the room, and then we'll get started. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. If anyone else joins in, we would let them in the room. All righty, so welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Just to be clear, we are going to be recording this virtual town hall event, just so that everyone is in the know. My name is Brittney.Morales-Bravo, the Health Promotions Coordinator at the American Lung Association in Orange County. Thank you so much for joining us today for our virtual event. We are so happy to be able to collaborate with our partner organization, America on Track, and our Buena Park City staff. Before we get started, I did want to go over a few housekeeping items. So because this is a virtual meeting, we want to make sure everyone is muted so that you are able to hear our presenters nice and clearly. If you need to ask a question or have a comment, just go ahead and put that in the chat box, and I'll make sure to get to your question during our Q&A forum. On that note, we also have interpretation available. So you should be viewing an interpretation button on your toolbar below on the Zoom screen. We have Korean and Spanish, as well as English, because for one presentation, we have a Spanish presentation. So you will be able to hear it in English as well. And that's how it looks like here. So you should see that button. It looks like the globe button. It's labeled interpretation. So once you click that, you should be viewing both English, Spanish, and Korean. So you should be able to select those. If you don't see that, please let us know in the chat box so we can assist you. Alrighty, so during the event, you are going to notice either me or Nabila are going to be dropping some files in Spanish and Korean. So be on the lookout for those. And I do want to note that some presenters will have some time to answer questions during their allotted time. So when that time comes, I will let everyone know that this is their opportunity to ask questions aside from the Q&A forum. Lastly, I just want to make sure that you guys all stay till the very end of the town hall event, because we will have a post survey, and that post survey will be available in Spanish and Korean, as well as English. So be on the lookout for at the end of the meeting, you'll be able to see those post surveys, the links to the post surveys there. So now go ahead and go over our town hall agenda for the day. Of course, want to thank America on Track for offering the Spanish translations, and the Buena Park City Commissioner for helping us out with the Korean translations. So as far as our agenda items, from 3 to 3:10, maybe if you can just scroll down a little bit. We will be having our opening remarks and introductions. Once we have our opening and introductions from 3:10 till 3:30, we will be having our Buena Park Public Opinion Survey and Healthy Stores, Healthy Communities data presented by our Orange County Healthcare Agency staff. And from 3:30 p.m. till 3:45 p.m., we'll be having a Buena Park City presentation. So this would be giving a general overview of what the tobacco retail licensing and flavor ban means for the community of Buena Park. And you'll have some time to ask some questions during this allotted time. From 3:45 to 4 p.m., we'll have our partner organization, America on Track, give a presentation to give us an overview of the numerous steps that were taken, including recruiting and supporting a strong resident work group leading up to the passage of the Buena Park tobacco retail licensing and flavor ban. And then from 4 p.m. to 4:05 p.m., we'll have a short break. So you'll be able to go get a drink of water and just, this is a bigger time for everyone. And then come back at 4:05 p.m. to 4:20 p.m. for the America on Track's Adult Flavors Work Group. Following that, we'll have the Belong Together Coalition present from 4:20 p.m. to 4:35 p.m. And then we'll have our Q&A forum to allow everyone to ask questions. If they have any, if you have any comments, this would be your time to get that addressed. So we'll make sure that you have time to unmute yourselves or input those in the chat box. And then lastly, we'll have our post survey links. Those will be dropped in the chat box, so you should be able to access them. And I'll give you guys a heads up too when we do drop them in the chat box.
Hi, Brittany, this is Davila. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm your Zoom coordinator for this afternoon. I just want to make sure our interpretation is functioning properly. Give me one moment, please. Just give us one moment, please. Hi, Anna. Could you go ahead and speak into your, hello, Anna? Anna, I think you might be muted. Yes, I can hear you. Perfect. And this is the Korean. This is for Joyce on. Joyce, could you go ahead and speak into the mic? Yes, I can hear you. Perfect. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, one moment. Okay. Okay, all right. I believe there is at least one Korean speaker in our chat. So let me go ahead and just pull up our instructions on how to access the interpretation. So give me one moment.
I can go over it again too.
Okay.
So you should be viewing this interpretation button. It says interpretation. Once you select that button, you should be able to see the different languages. So English, Spanish, and Korean. If you're not able to access that, please let us know in the chat box so we're aware of that and able to help you. All righty, I don't see anything in the chat box. So I'll go ahead and let the presenters introduce themselves, and the participants can go ahead and introduce themselves in the chat box. That way we're able to chat in there as well. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Matt Foulkes from Buena Park City staff.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Matt Foulkes. I'm the Community Development Director here for the City of Buena Park. And I think in about 45 minutes or so, I'm going to be talking about the city's tobacco ordinance.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Mayor Pro Tem Sunny Park.
Hi, everyone. This is Sunny Park, Mayor Pro Tem. Good to see you all. Okay.
I'll go ahead and pass it over to our Orange County Healthcare Agency presenters.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deepa Shanadi, and I'm a research analyst at the Orange County Healthcare Agency.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jamara Segan. I'm from Harder & Company Community Research, and happy to be here.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and introduce America on Track, a partner organization.
Good afternoon. So nice to see everyone here. I'm Claire Brayburn, Executive Director and co-founder of America on Track.
And lastly, our America on Track Adult Work Group. I think they're on the call right now. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hola, mi nombre es Ramona López. Yo colaboré con American on Track.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Norma Guillermo y también soy parte del equipo de trabajo de la comunidad y con America on Track.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Paola Elizalde. Soy residente de Buena Park y también estoy participando con American on Track.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. So that was Paola, Ramona, and Norma. They are working with America on Track on the Flavors Work Group, and they're very excited to be here. We'll go ahead and introduce our Belong Together coalition. Billy.
Una persona más, la señora Jacqueline Murillo.
Señora Jacqueline, ¿está ahí usted? Is she
She's
on the-
muted. She's on, but she's muted.
Gracias. Soy Jacqueline Murillo. Soy residente de la ciudad de Buena Park por 10 años y soy líder comunitaria activa aquí en la ciudad. Gracias.
Thank you, Jacqueline. We'll go ahead and introduce our Belong Together coalition. Billy, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Billy Ramirez. I'm here today with Belong Together Coalition, and I'm happy to be here.
Sahaj, if you can introduce yourself as well.
Hello, my name is Sahaj, a student attending John F. Kennedy High School as a junior, and nice to meet you.
Okay, and Rosie, if you can introduce yourself. Okay, Rosie will be joining us at a later time, so be on the lookout for her introduction. So we can go ahead and get started with our Buena Park Public Opinion Survey and Healthy Stores, Healthy Communities data. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, this is Nabila again. I'm going to test the Korean interpretation one more time.
Okay, no worries.
Hi, Joyce. Are you able to? Hello? Yes, I can hear you now. Okay, great. All right, thank you. I just wanted to double check we didn't hear you. Okay, thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, so we'll get started with our.
I understand. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send over the files for this presentation. They have been interpreted in Korean and in Spanish, so give me one moment, please. Okay, and here we go, Deepa.
The slides.
Are you able to see the slides?
Yes, we can see it in slideshow view.
Oh, one moment.
Thank you, Nabila. Hello, everyone again. My name is Deepa Shanadi, and I'm with the Tobacco Use Prevention Program, and I'm going to be sharing some background information through some data that was collected in the tobacco retail environment in Buena Park. The data will demonstrate and highlight the problems and issues with the sales of tobacco products and tobacco retailers in Buena Park. And this presentation hopefully will show why it was important for Buena Park to pass a tobacco retail license and flavors ban ordinance. Next slide. So first, I'm going to start off by showing the Buena Park tobacco landscape, or the situation in Buena Park. There are currently 55 tobacco retailers in Buena Park, and then 24% of the tobacco retailers are within 1,000 feet of a school. And then 40% of the schools are within 1,000 feet of a tobacco retailer. And 1,000 feet represents about 3 football fields size. So the map that is showing up there displays what I just talked about. So the black dots on the map are the tobacco stores, and then the orange circle is 1,000 feet of those tobacco stores in any direction. And then you'll see different shapes, and those are the different types of schools that are located in Buena Park, and the relationship between the school, the tobacco retailer, and the location. So I just want to say this data is actually available online. It's open source data, and I put the source of the website on the slide, and this data is available for any city in Orange County. Next slide, please. Okay. So the Healthy Stores, Healthy Community Survey was a statewide campaign in 2019 from the state, the California Tobacco Control Program. And 1,100 stores were surveyed in Orange County. And then 42 of them, or stores, were surveyed in Buena Park. And when I say surveyed, they were observational surveys, and each survey took about 15 minutes to complete. And we, the Orange County Healthcare Agency, the Tobacco Use Program, actually carried out the surveys for Buena Park and for Orange County. And the two zip codes that were covered in Buena Park are the two zip codes in Buena Park, 90621 and 90620. Next slide, please. Okay. So out of the 42 stores that were surveyed, what type of stores were they? So the majority of the stores were convenience stores, 33%, followed by liquor stores at 19%, followed by supermarket grocery stores, 14%, and then small market deli produce at 10%. And then 10% were identified as gas stations, and then other represents a donut store or a candy shop. And then 5% of the 42 stores were drugstores or pharmacy. And then the remaining, a small percentage, were discount stores such as Target or Walmart. Next slide. Okay. So what did we find in this survey? We found that 100% of the stores, or all 42 stores in Buena Park, visibly display tobacco products. All of them did not have age-restricted areas for tobacco products, and they all sold tobacco products, sugary drinks, and/or alcohol. Next slide. And then we also found that 83% of the stores, or over about 8 in 10 Buena Park stores, they sell flavored tobacco products in sweet flavors, which often appeal to youth. And this is higher than the store statewide. This data is available, or was collected in all of California. So in California, it was 82% of the stores were shown to sell flavored tobacco products. Next slide. And then we also saw that 69% of the stores were selling vaping products, or about 7 in 10 stores. And this was much higher than statewide, in which 55% of the stores sold vaping products. Okay. The data collectors also looked at the ads that were placed in the stores and the types of ads. Almost half of the stores, 48%, had tobacco products advertised on windows and doors. And then 1 out of the 3 stores had vaping products advertised on windows too. Next slide. So this is really just a snippet of the data that was collected. We designed an infographic which highlights some other points. So does anybody have any questions or comments for now?
I'm not seeing any questions or comments in the chat box, but we can get to any in the Q&A forum if there's any.
Okay, thank you. So next, Jem from Harder will discuss the findings from a recent survey that was also carried out this past summer, showing support for the policy that was recently passed by the Buena Park City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepa. Just wait for the slides to load.
One moment, thank you. Oh, and I've already dropped the, I've already added the interpreted slides in Spanish and in Korean in the chat.
Awesome, thank you so much, Nabila.
Okay, one moment, please. Okay.
Awesome, thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brittney.Morales-Bravo, and I'll be sharing some of the results from the public opinion survey. Just so you know, this survey was conducted over the phone between June and September of this year with residents of Buena Park. And this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but hopefully some of these findings will help explain some of the reasons as to why the policy was passed. So first, let's go over some demographics of who the respondents were. There were a total of 198 Buena Park residents that were surveyed over the phone. However, the number of responses to each question will vary depending on which questions the respondents chose to answer. So let's look at the demographics in more detail. So in terms of gender identity, there's about an even split between those who identified as female at 51% and male at 49%. In terms of age, most respondents fell between the ages of 25 and 44, so about 41% of them, or between the ages of 45 and 64, so 35% of them. And then lastly, looking at racial identity, most respondents identified as Hispanic or Latino at 39%, Asian at 36%, and white as 17%. This is comparable to the demographic provided by the US Census. So we're happy to say that the survey was demographically proportional to the actual demographic makeup of Buena Park. Now let's look at some at how residents feel about tobacco sales and policies in your community. So an overwhelming majority, specifically 80% of residents, support the city keeping stores from selling tobacco or vaping products within 1,000 feet of schools, parks, and other places where youth gather. So for visual people out there, 1,000 feet is about the length of 3 football fields. Next slide. About 3/4, so 74% of residents also think that the city should keep both new and existing stores from selling tobacco and vape products near schools, parks, and other places where youth gather, as opposed to new stores only. They also support the city keeping they also support the city keeping tobacco or vape product stores from being too close to each other. For example, they have to be at least 500 feet apart. So 70% of residents felt this way. And lastly, about 3/4 of residents, so again, 74%, support the city limiting the number of stores selling tobacco or vape products. So for example, the city should only allow 1 store per every 2,500 city residents. And those are all the results that we have time to share with you today. Again, like Deepa, this is just a snippet of the survey results, but we thought the most interesting for tonight's purpose. We'd like to give a special thanks to the Social Science Research Center at CSU Fullerton, as they were the ones who administered hundreds of phone surveys. And lastly, are there any questions or reactions anyone would like to share? I believe we have a few minutes left until our next presentation. Thank you.
Yes, we have 5 minutes left, so we can use this time to go over any questions or comments.
Sure.
If there's any questions, please include those in the chat box so that we can get those questions answered. Or feel free to unmute yourselves at this time if you are able to.
I just sent over the second set of translated slides. I apologize. I think I sent the healthy store slides twice.
Thank you, Nabila. Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the chat box, but if you can go over how you administered the over the phone surveys.
Yeah, of course. So we did it through random digit dialing. This was actually a bit of a pivot because usually we administer these surveys in person out on the field, but due to the pandemic and wanting to keep everyone safe, we contracted with CSU Fullerton, the SSRC, department to conduct them. So as a random digit dialing, most of them I believe were home phones. And yeah, it was the same survey that would have been administered. We just had to alter it a bit to tailor it to a phone call.
Right, and I'm sure COVID affected that too, right? The in-person surveys.
Yeah, exactly. Ideally, it would have been nice to do it on the ground, but we, thanks to SSRC, I mean, they're really good at what they do. They specialize in doing random digit dialing. So I would say we were relatively successful in reaching almost 200 residents in Buena Park.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, not seeing anything else in the chat box. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those in, or you can simply unmute yourself and ask the question. We have about 3 minutes allocated for question and answer. All right, not seeing anything coming through. Is there any questions in our Spanish translation room or interpretation room or Korean interpretation room? I'm not seeing anything. So we can go ahead and save any questions. Maybe there will be more questions at the end of the town hall event. So I'll be sure to get those questions to you if there's any comments. But thank you so much for your presentation and your time to go over the survey data. Thank you so much. We can go ahead and get started with our second presenters, the Buena Park City presentation. Nabila, if you can pull up their presentation slides so we can get started with that. Actually, there's one comment. We'll save it. I think we can cover it right now since we have 2 minutes. There's one comment. It says there were not a lot of women in the survey.
Yes, I was gonna respond in the chat, but I can do that here. There were about 51%. So just about half of the folks surveyed were women, which is a bit, it's proportional to the census demographic data.
Okay, thank God you clarified because it was like light, so I thought there were no women. Like when you show it,
sorry.
yeah. So
sorry about that. Yeah, no, okay. It was slightly more, 51%. Thank you for asking, and apologies for the confusion.
Thank you. Okay, we can move on to our Buena Park City presentation. I'll pass it over to Matt Foulkes. Thank you.
Sure, thanks. Thanks, everybody. Before I get started on sort of the details of the Buena Park tobacco ordinance, I wanted to give an opportunity for Mayor Pro Tem Park to maybe do some introductory remarks. She's available.
Here, I'm unmuted, right?
You're here.
Okay, cool. Okay, thank you, Matt. Good afternoon, everyone. It is really great seeing you all virtually. It is my pleasure to be representing the city at this town hall meeting concerning no sale of flavored tobacco products and other health and safety related ordinances. On July 27th, 2021, the City Council of members of Buena Park unanimously passed this ordinance, place a ban on the sale of all flavored tobacco products in Buena Park, and also to impose a 500 feet buffer zone of a tobacco retailer shop from schools and other places frequented by children. The passing of this ordinance was a truly work of all community partners, ranging from American On Track, American Lung Society, and other nonprofits, also many local churches and school districts who really care about the health of children and community in general. I became aware of the need for this ordinance through the FIT committee of Buena Park. The FIT committee consists of parent, volunteers, and several community partners to make Buena Park healthier, safer, and more inclusive. As a mother, a wife, and a person, I always want to learn more about the ways to make healthy choices for my family and myself. This mindset carries to my decision-making process as elected as well. So when the FIT committee started to talking about this potential changes in tobacco sales and vaping products, I wanted to get involved and make policy changes. I'm very proud of Buena Park parent volunteers who were engaged in grassroots movement and work by gathering signatures at city events, texting, talking to the community partners, and ultimately influence all of my council colleagues and myself to be all on board. This is a classic example of how civic participation by good citizens can make a difference in Buena Park. So now, where do we go from here? So that's the purpose of today's meeting. There are two aspects that I want to focus on for future direction of this ordinance. Number one is how to enforce the rule. And number two is how to influence other neighboring cities. With respect to the enforcement issues, it requires education and reporting of any violation by all of us. And so the question becomes, what circumstances do we need to report? So after my presentation, our economic development director will discuss in more in detail how this ordinance is working. And number two, how to influence other neighboring cities. As we all know, Buena Park is centrally located and is surrounded by many cities such as Fullerton, Anaheim, La Habra, La Mirada, and La Palma. We're all connected and we're all impacted by what other cities are doing. So just because Buena Park has passed this ordinance does not mean that the kids won't have access to flavored tobacco products elsewhere. So we all need to make a regional effort in this regard. And I'm hoping that the working group of the FIT committee and all of us start thinking strategically to expand Buena Park's anti-tobacco policy to other cities. This issue relates to the November 2022 election, where all of us will need to vote on the state measure relating to vaping products and all flavored tobacco products. So again, this issue will be discussed more in detail by our economic development director. And thank you for the opportunity to speak about this important issue. And we're all in this together to promote health equity and protect the children. And on behalf of the city, thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Park. So I have a few slides here just to kind of give some detail about the ordinance that was adopted. Go to the next slide, please. So a few topics that I'm going to cover here pretty quickly. Just a little bit of background. Both Mayor Pro Tem Park and some of the other speakers have kind of already given quite a bit of background, and many of you that are on the call today were sort of integral to the development of the ordinance and touch on a little bit of legislative history. Then I'm going to spend a bulk of the time talking about the specific ordinance components as they relate to the city, a couple next steps, and then I think it seems like it's working the best to maybe have questions during that Q&A period towards the end of the session today. Next slide, please. So a little bit of background. As Mayor Pro Tem Park mentioned, there was a Senate bill passed by the governor back in August of 20 that was going to expand flavored tobacco ban at a statewide level. Prior to going into effect, there was a referendum, which has also moved that decision to the statewide ballot in November of 2022, so coming up next fall. However, Buena Park kind of chose to get ahead of that item because it's going to be at a statewide level. We look to adopt a local ban. Another item here, the FDA in April of 21, so just a few months ago, early this spring, did announce a plan to expand the federal regulation banning menthol cigarettes and flavored cigars. They also mentioned that there's about a 6 to 12 month rollout if that does ultimately come through. So again, Buena Park wanted to get ahead of those items, and the local ordinance, even if these 2 items are passed at the state and federal level, many of the components in our Buena Park ordinance will continue to be in effect. Cities, in most cases, are allowed to be more restrictive than state law. They just can't be less restrictive. And in many cases, our local tobacco ordinance is more restrictive than what would have been under SB 793 or the FDA requirements as relates to menthol cigarettes. I think the Mayor Pro Tem had mentioned, back in April, there was a number of presentations made to the City Council from Claire and her team about the health impacts of flavored tobacco and flavored tobacco products, specifically impacts to youth. At that time, the City Council directed the city staff and the city attorney to come back with an ordinance that would effectively regulate tobacco sales and prohibit flavored tobacco products. So we came back in July of 2021, just the beginning of this summer, with an ordinance that did just that. And as the Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, it was adopted unanimously. It modified Title V of the Buena Park Municipal Code and lays out a licensing program and a flavored tobacco ban. And we'll go into that next slide, please. So these, there's a lot of ordinance components, and so I wanted to kind of boil it down to really the most impactful pieces. There's a number of definitions as to what qualifies as flavored tobacco products. Retailers define some distances, and so there's a lot in the licensing program in terms of what has to be provided by the tobacco retailers. But really the high level items are here. So first and foremost, the tobacco ordinance and local licensing requirement will go into effect January 1st of 2022, so here in the next 3 months. It is a license that will be issued by the city and it will be renewed annually. All tobacco retailers, so anybody that sells tobacco products, so I think there was a slide in one of the early presentations, this could be gas stations, grocery stores, obviously smoke shops specifically, anybody that's selling a tobacco product is going to be required to not only get a tobacco license that's issued by the state and county, but now they'll also be required to get a city tobacco retail license beginning January 1st, renew it annually. New tobacco retail licenses will not be issued within 500 feet of a park, school, or library. And there was a great map. The map that was displayed earlier was actually 1,000 feet. The Buena Park ordinance is a 500-foot buffer, but again, from those parks, schools, and libraries. So no new licenses may be issued in those buffer zones. Existing tobacco retailers that are within that 500-foot buffer, and there are, I think there's about a half dozen or so, I think somewhere between 5 and 8, that are within a 500-foot distance of a park, school, or library, will become what's called non-conforming land uses. Now that's just kind of a technical term, meaning that as they can stay in place and they have to phase out over time. So it's either a 5 or a 10-year period. After that time, they'll no longer be able to sell tobacco products. But if they discontinue tobacco sales or go out of business, a new tobacco retailer cannot take their place. So once they're closed, that location is gone for good. But as long as they stay in business, they'll have a 5-year period to phase out all tobacco sales at that location. Really important one that I think is really a big one. No tobacco retailer, whether you're inside or outside that 500-foot buffer, will be able to sell flavored tobacco products, and that's a defined term in our code, as of March 31st, 2022. So January 1st, you have to get a local license from the city, and then we gave them effectively 3 months from that time to either move their product or discontinue sales of all flavored tobacco products at the end of March 2022. So that's a huge win, huge benefit to the city, because we know flavored tobacco products are really the most marketed product to the youth and people, the minors. We have a grant application in with the Department of Justice, the DOJ, to help with the enforcement process. Whether or not we win that grant or not, we are going to have a code enforcement officer. So that's a city staff member that's going to be either fully or partially dedicated to tobacco retail compliance. So this is a person out in the field that's going to be going to those 55 tobacco retailers that were I mentioned. And as of January 1st, we're going to be making sure they're getting their license applications in. And then really that big date is that April 1st or after the March 31st, verifying that they're not selling any flavored tobacco products. We are going to need all of your help. There is not a lot of staff here in the city to do this. So it is going to be probably a one officer that will be dedicated to this task. And so They'll be out there proactively checking retail establishments, but we also will need citizens from the community to come out and make sure if you do see a tobacco shop or a smoke shop or a gas station that is continuing to sell flavored tobacco products after that March 31st date, call in, notify us, and then we'll be able to get a code officer out pretty quickly, get them into compliance as quickly as possible. Next slide, please. So what are the next steps? We've already adopted the ordinance. Title V has already been amended. We are going to be going to the Planning Commission. So this is sort of one step below the City Council at the end of this month to amend the zoning code. So all of the licensing requirements have already been approved in Title V. Title 19 is where we have permitted uses, land use. And so that needs to be caught up to reflect the flavored tobacco ban. Mostly it's updating those definitions that I was talking about. We have what's called permitted uses tables. So when a new business is looking to locate in a commercial zone, we want to make sure that that table is updated so that everybody knows that tobacco products are not allowed within 500 feet of the park, schools, and libraries. And then some references to the flavored tobacco ban. So this is really more of a cleanup item, but you will see it come on a Planning Commission agenda. Ultimately, the City Council has to adopt it as well. So that's going to be happening in November. But it's not changing any of the ordinance that was adopted back in July. It's really just kind of catching up the zoning code to what was adopted in the municipal code. We are going to be mailing out notices to all tobacco retailers, those 55 or so on the list, later this year after the Title 19 amendment has been adopted, notifying them that they do need to get a license, what's required, what information is going to be required for those licenses. And then really another reminder that as of that March 31st date, they're going to have to discontinue all flavored tobacco sales. And then after that, we're going to be out there in the field with our code enforcement officer doing some enforcement. So that's kind of really the next steps. Both the Planning Commission and City Council meetings to adopt the Title 19 are public hearings here in the council chambers. So you're welcome to come and listen in. Again, they are really just a catch-up, cleanup item as of what was adopted in Title V earlier this summer. I think that's it, but you can go to the next slide. And we're good. Here's my contact information, my email and phone number if you have any questions after this meeting. And then, of course, I'll stick around for the Q&A if you have any specific questions. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Matt. That was very helpful. We're getting a lot of comments, or one comment saying that that was very helpful and informative. So thank you so much for your presentation. I don't see any questions in the chat box. Does anyone have any questions? You can go ahead and unmute yourself at this point, or we can save them for the Q&A. Oh, go ahead, Claire.
Matt, hi, thank you so much. It's really been a pleasure working with the City of Buena Park and your team. I'm curious if you have any idea of where that fee is going to land, or if you guys have a range right now that you've targeted for that.
Sure, thanks, Claire. That's a great point. So it's really important to us and the city that the tobacco retailers themselves pay the full cost of administering this program. So we wanted to make sure we're not putting an additional burden on the taxpayers of Buena Park by impacting what's called the general fund. The general fund is really just that sort of unrestricted funds that we use to pay for all types of products, services, and programs in the city. So we haven't set, I think we actually are going to be setting that exact figure here as part of the Title 19 amendment. I don't have the number in front of me, but I can tell you that it's going to be in, I think it's like the $300 to $600 amount, and that's going to be the cost for that annual license. And what that money is going towards is helping to pay for that code enforcement officer. It's helping to pay for the police department review of the tobacco retail license. So really good point. The tobacco retailers themselves are going to be making sure that this program continues to not impact any of the other general funds. But thanks. Yeah, I don't have the exact number, but it's going to be somewhere between, I think it's like $400 and $600, and that's an annual license.
Super, thank you. I think that's really great that the city is taking it super seriously and covering those costs, so it will be long lasting and enforceable.
Awesome. I think we can go ahead and go with our next presenter, Claire.
1 second. Claire, you should be able to share your slides now.
Okay, super. All right, so thanks so much, Brittney, for hosting this and inviting us to be part of this town hall meeting. And as I mentioned, I'm Claire Brayburn and with America on Track, and we really have enjoyed the whirlwind process in 2021 in the middle of a pandemic, working with the amazing team of people at the City of Buena Park and also the our fabulous task force members. So a little bit of back history, and before I start sharing my documents, America on Track is funded by the state of California, their California Tobacco Control Program. And during that process, we select what policy objectives we want to work on and where. So about 2 years ago, we put together the grant and chose to work in the city of Buena Park on a flavors ban, as well as some other policies, but we're talking about flavor ban right now. And so we put together a scope of work and an objective to work with the city to help them look at policy options for banning mentholated and flavored tobacco products. And normally we anticipate that this work will take about 2 years to work with the city, to do all the steps leading up to it, to get the data collected, to get the residents pulled together, and just the normal process that you don't expect a city to move on your timeline, even though you're excited, so it takes a few months, and other times it takes even longer when cities have other priorities that they need to focus on. So I'm going to share the timeline of what happened and how it kind of all progressed for us. And I'm going to see if I can share this properly. Well, let's see. Okay, can people see this timeline? Yep, okay, super. I'm gonna zoom in and then scroll down. So we wrote the grant a couple of years ago, got funding a little over a year ago. And as Mayor Pro Tem Park mentioned, we were presenting at the FIT committee meeting on February 12th. And we brought to the group some of our goals for our California Tobacco Program grant and said, here are some of the things we're going to be talking about. What do you think? And the group at that time decided that yes, the menthol and flavored tobacco ban is something that we care about, that we would want to support. And we were lucky to have city staff as well as Mayor Pro Tem Park participating in that FIT committee meeting. And Mayor Pro Tem Park generously offered to champion the issue and really help us learn what steps we would need to take with the city. So obviously we all know that there's no spoiler alert here. We know the end result was July they passed it. So it was just a whirlwind of exciting activity from there. But what I want to go through is kind of the steps that it took, because although we were really fortunate to work with an amazing city and amazing residents, there's so much work that goes on to get this type of policy passed. And certainly, as Mayor Pro Tem Park mentioned, any of us who want to work with the surrounding communities or other communities in Orange County, it's always important to look at, okay, we might not be as lucky to get it that fast in another city, because that was really something special. So what are the steps, what are the processes that it takes to build up to it, regardless of how long it takes? And so naturally, if someone on city council says this is a subject that I would support, you jump on that and you move quickly. So shortly thereafter, my staff and I met with the city, with Mayor Pro Tem Park and city staff, and talked about what are some of the policy options around this. What are models of what other cities have done, so that we can learn and pull out the best from what others have done, And the city staff was really phenomenal about doing that. So American Track's role was to try to help and do whatever we could to provide technical assistance to support the city. So that was provided in the beginning. It was, here are some samples of what other cities have done, so that the city of Buena Park could see what they liked about those other policies and maybe what they didn't like or what they felt they could add to. The next step for us, of course, was starting a flavors work group. And since we'd already been involved with the FIP committee for quite a few years through our nutrition programming, that was a natural segue because we already had amazing women who had been working so hard on nutrition issues in their community, as well as a lot of other issues. They're amazing volunteers for the city of Buena Park, or in the city of Buena Park. So we started a flavors work group and asked who would like to participate. And we had 11 dedicated women who worked tirelessly from February through July. And you'll hear from several of them shortly. And then we also, so as the county was presenting some data, American Track also was collecting data. So we surveyed 26 of the tobacco retail stores. And we really wanted to look at what kind of flavored products were being sold and how much were they being sold for. And we were horrified to learn that at one of the stores, kids could get 5 vape products for $1. So 20 cents. You can't buy anything for 20 cents nowadays. And definitely it's hard to find anything healthy for 20 cents. So that was disappointing to hear, and really contributed to our passion to do whatever we could to support the city in making their decision about whether or not they wanted to pass a flavors ban. And in March 2nd, we had our first flavors work group meeting, and worked quickly from there. And so again, our goal was to really empower the residents who care deeply about their community, care about their own children, but also care about other people's children in the community. And so our goal was to work with them and give them all of the materials they would need to run with this. So we gave them binders and made sure that they felt supported with materials in English and in Spanish, so that they could go and collect endorsements and public opinion poll surveys and really be part of the process in their community. And that's really something that's super important to American Track. Is it's not about coming in and rubbing elbows with elected officials and saying, oh yeah, let's do this great thing. It's really partnering with residents and the community and understanding what the need is, and then helping meet the need. We're not coming in doing anything for someone. It's that how can we all work together to meet mutual goals. So at the beginning of March, we started collecting public opinion poll data, and our work group members were involved in that every step of the way. And we also collected key informant interviews with the tobacco retail store owners to get their feedback, because again, when you're going to do something in a community that is going to impact them, we wanted to know how they felt about it. And we were really pleasantly surprised to get the feedback that some of them were in support, and the others were not vehemently against, which one might think, oh, they're going to be really against this. They weren't. They were either not able to formally give an opinion because they weren't the owner, but they said, yeah, we all want to protect kids, and it makes sense. So it was really nice to get that type of feedback. The next step was to see how the key stakeholders in the community would feel about something like this. So we conducted 13 key informant interviews with stakeholders in Buena Park, and overwhelming support for this, which is in policy work. If you haven't done policy work before, that's really great news. So everything just, the stars were aligning and things were going really well. And what was really unique and special was that the city staff really made themselves available every step of the way for questions, for feedback, for meetings. And so we continued to collaborate with them. They asked us to develop a PowerPoint for an upcoming city council meeting, so we did. And that way we were all able to share. So then we met with American Lung and the Belung youth, and we strategized on the right approach to presenting this information for the staff, for the city council meeting. And by March already there was a study session. I mean, that's just unheard of for cities to move that quickly and to really listen to what the residents were saying. So that was pretty exciting. In between all of that, we were doing presentations for the Buena Park's youth leadership groups and a lot of other youth and adults throughout the city to educate them on menthol and flavored tobacco, so that if and when potential policy came about, people would understand why the subject is so important and the hazards of vapes and tobacco and the vaping epidemic. And we continued to meet with the FIT committee members as well as our flavors work group members to look at what would be a model ordinance. Well, there is a model ordinance, and then what options in that do the residents really care about so that they can advocate for the portions that they thought were really important. And as Matt explained, there are so many good, strong components. It's not just banning flavor, but the distance from the youth serving areas and so forth. They've really added a lot of really strong components to this policy, which makes it a model for other communities moving forward, which is exciting. But that was an important part of the process, is to look as a team and say, what do the residents, what does the community want to see in the Buena Park policy, if it was going to get passed. And then a really important part is a strategy session with lots of community partners, and we were really lucky to have such great support in Buena Park. There's so many engaged partners, and the Buena Park Collaborative, that's always an amazing group to work with and has so many caring members there that are focused on a lot of important issues in Buena Park. So members from the Buena Park Collaborative, school districts, and so forth participated. And then of course our usual tobacco control advocates and the county and the tri-agencies that supported this and provided great feedback through it. And then just lots and lots of meetings. But you can see there's just this constant activity, constant data collection, another city council meeting to discuss another study session to continue to talk about it. So we were able to provide an updated public opinion poll and community support data. Ultimately, we ended up with just under 1,200 public opinion poll surveys and over 380 endorsements and resolutions signed by residents and organizations in Buena Park. So there was tremendous support, and as Mayor Pro Tem Park mentioned, so many people were involved, the residents, as well as like the local churches and things, submitting those endorsements and resolutions and getting people to look at the issue and see how they felt about the issue. I mean, that's the key, is no one was ever being told how they should feel about the issue, but here is the issue, and you can weigh in and be part of that civic process. Yeah. And then the flavors work group members, we had a call with the school district. They felt strongly that they wanted the school district to support them in their efforts on this. So we had a good meeting with the Buena Park School District superintendent and assistant superintendent to find out how they can support this and what they're doing to support their parents and kids around the subject of tobacco control. Yeah. And then we met with the FIT committee members again to really say, okay, now we're going to be spending a lot of money on a media campaign, a flavors media campaign. So let us know which ones you like best, and it was really great that we did that, because we had voted internally, oh, I like this one, I like that one. And the group selected some that were the same, but some that were not the same. So that was really valuable. And in June, we launched a 2-month media campaign to educate the community on the issue of flavors and nicotine in the flavors and how they're addicting youth. So we did 13 bus shelters ads throughout the community, digital billboard, 8 radio ads, 2 movie theater ads. And they called an atmosphere ad. Rock and Brew has TVs up in there. I don't know if anybody's been there, but they have TVs. We ran ads there. We did YouTube video ads, website ads, and then the city was gracious enough to allow us to distribute the postcard ads at city facilities to educate the community on the subject of flavors as well. And then we participated in all of the wonderful events that the city puts on throughout the summer with the summer camp and the concert series and the movie nights and the Read With Me. So there's so many amazing, as those of you who are Buena Park residents know, so many amazing community events. And the timing was nice that things were opening up a little bit more. So we were able to get out there and educate the community prior to, interact with and educate the community prior to the city council session. Yeah. And then again, just more meetings with Flavors work group members and the FIT committee members to let them know, keep them informed, continue to get opinions, working with the city staff to ask questions and respond to questions. And ultimately, we all know the answer, the amazing city council meeting with a 5-0 unanimous vote to support the flavor ban, which was just phenomenal. So those are a lot of the steps that it took. And yeah, I was really impressed also with, I'm gonna stop sharing this, although I don't know how. I think I can do it that way. Oh, I don't, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna switch to another screen, but then I'm not sure how it's gonna, if it's gonna like overtake my screen and then I'm not gonna be able to do it on this end. We'll try together and see how this is going to work. Okay, is that working? Okay, so these are some of our amazing task force members, and there's more that don't happen to be in this particular slide. But one of the things that the task force members did was go out in the community and find out what other people in the community, why they supported this flavor ban. And then they posted it on social media, and that's such an important way for the residents to get the word out. You know, so this is just a small sampling of some of the residents who shared their reasons for wanting this ban to take place. And of course, we all love the little one in the middle, but the adults who are supporting it are also equally important. So as I mentioned, as a team, our Flavors work group members and AmeriContract staff, and of course, none of this could have happened without the amazing leadership of Alex Cook, who's our program coordinator on this, as well as Anna, who's translating right now, but that's my team here at AmeriContract, who really worked so hard day and night for the last 6-7 months to do this and to stay on top of this. So we did public opinion poll surveys for just under 1,200 people in English, Spanish, and Korean. And similar to the responses that the county shared, here's kind of the breakdown. We had about 40% of them were middle-aged, 30 to 50-year-old residents. 28% or so were over 18, 27% over 50, and then 12% that were, well, 20% that were youth or young adults. And what was really interesting is that nearly 80% of them lived with somebody under 21. So this is a subject that would really hit home, because it's a subject that would impact them if they have people under 21 there in the home that are being exposed to these products. And some of the reasons why they cared about this issue is they were, the vast majority, 90%, are worried that it's really easy for kids to buy flavored tobacco products. And they're also, 95% of them are worried that the flavors definitely appeal to the youth and they're going to increase their risk of nicotine addiction. And we certainly know that the data says that, and the community is well aware of those risks. So that was good news to know that they're aware of that, they're concerned about it, and that they supported options to actually do something about it. So 96% of those surveyed strongly or somewhat strongly supported. And actually, if you look at the numbers, only 2.27 didn't agree. The other 1.5% was only somewhat weakly, so we didn't include that. So really it was 98% support, but 96 that strongly or somewhat strongly support it. And then they also supported making sure that there was a license fee. And as Matt mentioned, it's really important to make sure that the residents don't have to pay for this, but that the license fee, if they want to sell the product, then they take responsibility for having a fee that covers making sure that it's done safely and so forth. So nearly 80% of those surveyed supported a fee to pay for enforcement of the law if it were to be passed. Yeah. And we know that this is just such a great way to protect youth from big tobacco. So it's been amazing working with the city, and I certainly look forward to having other great projects with the city and with these residents who you'll hear from. Without the constant daily, literally daily support of residents caring about this subject and working towards it and working through the challenges, it's not always easy. And that's really the key, is that the result is so fantastic. And it's like, oh, that's so great. And the survey data says that. But working through all of that and working as a team, and that takes time and patience and caring about each other. And that's what made it successful, is that the people who were willing to work together and say, yes, I want to support this. And then when it looked like it was coming down to a city council meeting and there were some issues that we needed to look at, America on Track was able to reach out to partners in the tobacco control field and say, hey, I need help on this issue and that issue. And people really rose to the occasion and chimed in and helped provide some answers and resources at the end in terms of just some logistical issues and some context for providing the city with some additional information that we were hoping they would take into consideration, which they did, which was fantastic. I mean, super unique to have so many different people at so many different levels at a city be so open to working with organizations and their residents. And it's really so refreshing to work with professionals who care deeply about their community, the way we think everyone should. And unfortunately, in our world, it doesn't always work that way. So in Buena Park, it's really a model of everyone at every level caring deeply and moving together to find solutions that make communities healthier. So it's been fantastic. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that and the opportunity to share here. So thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
I'm going to figure out how to make Nabila the host again.
That was a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I want to ask the group if you guys want to take a short break right now and then come back together. Or are you guys okay with continuing on with the event? Let me know in the chat box.
Actually, Claire, Rhonda had a question. She says that
okay. Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to do it.
Oh, it's okay. If you look at the participant list and hover over my name, you should be able to make.
Oh, if I hover over your name, okay, because on mine it wasn't letting me do it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did the tobacco store owners have any concerns about replacing any income from the tobacco products? I'm going to actually let Anna answer that, so she's going to have to stop translating for just a moment. In terms of, she was the one that went out and interviewed the stores, but my understanding is that there was not a significant concern about that. For Alex, maybe you know the answer if it's hard for Anna to stop translating.
Claire,
Yeah.
you'll need to make me host in order to do that. So I can get either Alex or Anna off of translation or interpretation, excuse me. Okay, 1 second. Let me get, I'll get Alex in. Hold on. Hi, Alex. You should be in, you should be able to address the main chat. Alex?
You're muted.
Okay, wait, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so from our understanding, no retailer was having issues with that because they knew that they were going to be able to still sell traditional cigarettes, just not anything that would be harmful for youth or children, which everybody was in favor of that. We didn't hear anything, or we didn't hear any complaints. They were willing to take the key informant and let us do an observational survey at their store as well.
Thank you, Alex. I don't see any other questions in the chat box, but I do see Jacqueline said, let's continue on. So not having your break, I know they're up next, so we can go ahead and let them present for their portion.
Okay, so our next presenters will be conducting their presentation in Spanish. So for the folks in the room who'd like to have it translated into English, if you take a look at the bottom right of your screen, I believe it's in the bottom center, if you select English, you'll be listening to Alex translate the presentation from Spanish to English. So whenever our next presenters are ready. Okay, 1 second. Hello? Oh, okay. It says in the chat box that Norma will be presenting. Is that correct?
Ok, buenas tardes a todos. ¿No se escucha bien?
Okay.
Hola, mi nombre es Norma Guillermo, yo soy residente de la ciudad de Park, ya tengo muchos años activa en la comunidad y sobre los fundadores de Untitled. Estoy muy orgullosa de poder apoyar en este caso junto a Untitled Chapter. Gracias a todos por okay.
Hello? Hello? Oh, okay. Hello?
¿Podría seguir Paola mientras Norma restablece su internet, por favor?
Okay. It says that Norma is having technical difficulties.
Paola, ¿puedes tú comenzar?
And she's asking
Y
Paola.
buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Paola, ¿verdad? Yo también me siento muy orgullosa de estar participando con American on Track. En mi experiencia, ¿verdad? Que yo tuve en los eventos, la gente estuvo muy interesada, ¿verdad? En lo que fue lo del que estuvimos haciendo las encuestas. Y mucha gente hizo muchos comentarios muy positivos, en la cual, ¿verdad? También nos pedían que si en los departamentos también, ¿verdad? En otras áreas fuera de las tiendas podríamos, se podría, ¿verdad? Prohibir, ¿verdad? Lo que es el humo de segunda mano. Y eso pues yo también lo tomé muy en cuenta, ¿verdad? En lo personal, pues me siento muy contenta por todo el trabajo que hemos hecho todas las compañeras, ¿verdad? Que hemos estado juntas trabajando. verdad, y espero, verdad, que también pues esta propuesta nueva que viene, verdad, se lleve a cabo.
Ok.
I am a little bit, Alejandra. I'm also hearing
Ramona,
some
si gustas
feedback from the
continuar
Korean
tú
translation.
o porque Norma está afuera mientras entra, o ya estará Norma. Continúa tú,
Sí,
Ramona.
sí, lo que pasa es que estoy, dice que está esperando que la acepten. No sé qué pasa. Hay problemas ahorita con la tecnología, creo. Ok. Bueno, ya voy a empezar a presentarme. Bueno, mi nombre es Ramona López, soy una persona muy activa aquí en la comunidad. He participado en otros lugares con otras organizaciones y en centros comunitarios. He trabajado en centros comunitarios. Bueno, el trabajo que hice dentro del Task Force, hice llamadas 1 a 1 para personas que no tienen acceso a la tecnología o no saben cómo manejar la tecnología. Usé mucho los medios sociales como Facebook. También estoy integrada en muchos grupos de chat. Hice también ese llamado pues para apoyar la ordenanza. Mandé correos electrónicos a los miembros del board del distrito de aquí de Buena Park. Inclusive también hicimos una junta con la directora de servicios estudiantiles y comunitarios aquí del distrito de Buena Park. Pero principalmente también asistí a todas las juntas del consejo, abogando por esta ordenanza y pidiéndole a nuestros concejales que la aprobaran. También se realizó una presentación de información a un grupo de padres de niños con educación especial. ¿Por qué? Porque sabemos que los niños están siendo impactados por esta tendencia de fumar o usar el uso del cigarrillo electrónico. ¿Por qué lo hacen? Porque los jóvenes quieren sentirse cool con sus demás compañeros y estar en la onda. Pero les voy a decir que los jóvenes con necesidades especiales están siendo impactados mayormente por esta tendencia de los cigarrillos. ¿Por qué? Porque ellos padecen más de enfermedades de salud mental, depresión, ansiedad. Sus problemas cognitivos son más diferentes, entre otras deshabilidades que les afectan. Por eso fue importante tratar de minimizar este tipo de productos en nuestra ciudad y, como dice la señora Prom, seguir en otras ciudades que nos sigan, ¿verdad? Yo agradezco mucho al Consejo de la Ciudad por haber hecho posible aprobar esta ordenanza, ya que fue la voz de la comunidad que lo pidió. Entonces, el trabajo que hicimos como equipo en el Task Force fue muy difícil también porque fue en tiempo de pandemia. Tuvimos muy poco acceso a lugares. Sin embargo, pudimos acceder a todas las comunidades que hay aquí en nuestra ciudad. También agradezco a los grupos, organizaciones y jóvenes que colaboraron y apoyaron. Agradezco a la organización que nos apoyó y también estoy agradecida por haberme invitado a dar un pequeño speech de lo que hicimos, pero es para seguir trabajando y colaborando en apoyo de nuestras comunidades y más que nada de nuestros jóvenes. Y yo me gusta apoyar y colaborar con las organizaciones y seguiré trabajando y apoyando y colaborando para continuar avanzando por nuestra comunidad. Gracias.
Paola, perdón, Norma, ¿ya estás allí? No, no está. Ok, bueno. Entonces continúo yo mientras nuestra compañera Norma se integra. Yo soy Jacqueline Murillo. Buenas tardes. Yo soy una madre de 2 niños. He residido aquí en la ciudad de Buena Park por 10 años. También soy líder comunitaria activa aquí en mi ciudad. También me gusta colaborar con otros líderes comunitarios de otras ciudades vecinas para trabajar en pro del bienestar y el mejoramiento de nuestras comunidades. Este enero 2021, los líderes comunitarios de Buena Park tuvimos la oportunidad de comenzar con el apoyo de American on Track a dialogar y a trabajar con nuestro concilio de la ciudad esta ordenanza por la salud de nuestros niños, adolescentes, jóvenes y en general por las familias de Buena Park. En julio 2021, como ustedes escucharon, las comunidades de Buena Park empezamos a hacer la diferencia en el condado de La Naranja al hacer posible el ser la primera ciudad en adoptar esta ordenanza al lado de nuestro concilio. Veo que nuestro concilio desde hace más de 5 años empezó a ver, como ustedes escucharon, toda la data de los altos índices de venta y también de consumo de tabaco aquí en la ciudad. Y creo que el concilio empezó un gran esfuerzo por empezar a pensar en una ordenanza y empezar a abordar a los residentes y a los líderes comunitarios para trabajar juntos. Realmente es un aplauso que nuestro concilio se merece. Me quedó con una gran satisfacción personal sobre esta contribución a mi comunidad en equipo con mis compañeras del grupo del trabajo para hacer y lograr la unidad de esta petición en una sola voz de distintas formas por esta causa. ¿Cómo lo hicimos? Ya la organización American on Track, que es la que nos apoyó y nos facilitó el trabajo a los líderes comunitarios y a los residentes, nos dio un breve resumen del trabajo que se hizo. Pero además también el buscar a la colaboración de otros líderes comunitarios es muy importante, de los vecinos de las ciudades a la redonda. Es muy importante también porque esto ayuda a difundir más ampliamente el mensaje con un solo propósito. ¿Qué es? Solamente salir a exhortar a la gente a que salga a expresarse y hablar con sus gobiernos locales. En este caso lo hicimos con nuestro gobierno local de Buena Park. ¿Sobre qué? ¿Qué queremos? Que queremos que la gente de la comunidad en general, salud para ellos y para los suyos. Realmente la gente lo quiere. ¿Dónde se reflejó? En todas las encuestas de opinión que se distribuyeron, en las cartas de apoyo que se llegaron a los concejales, en las cartas de respaldo, en las entrevistas, en toda la data que se recolectó y que American on Track muy amablemente nos apoyó para presentarla al concilio. Así que yo exhorto a todos los líderes comunitarios de otras ciudades, a residentes de otras ciudades, que si están en busca de esta ordenanza o de cualquier otra de salud para sus comunidades, solo se acerquen a dialogar y a trabajar con su gobierno local, con su concilio. Eso va a ser la diferencia. Si ustedes lo quieren, juntos con su concilio lo pueden lograr. Creo firmemente que lo último que debemos perder son nuestras esperanzas y nuestros sueños para mejorar a nuestra comunidad. Enhorabuena y aplauso a todos los residentes de Buena Park y a los líderes comunitarios. Muchas gracias. Norma, ¿estás allí?
Sí, aquí estoy. A ver,
Gracias,
ojalá
Norma.
que tenga buen apoyo de ahorita de mi internet.
Ya
Quiero
te
dar las
escuchamos bien.
gracias.
Sí.
Quiero dar las gracias a todos los residentes, ¿verdad? De nuestra comunidad por apoyarnos, ¿verdad? Nosotras somos mamitas interesadas en poder abogar por nuestras familias, por la salud de nuestros jóvenes. Y cuando escuchamos los testimonios de todas aquellas familias que se han visto afectadas, ¿verdad? Por ya sea que sus hijos tengan el vicio del tabaco, ¿verdad? Nos sentimos más preocupadas todavía, ¿verdad? En poder compartir esto con más familias dentro de nuestra ciudad de Buena Park. Y quiero agradecer a todas las organizaciones que nos abrieron las puertas, ¿verdad? Aquí hay una entrega de alimentos y ahí tuvimos la oportunidad, algunas compañeras, de poder compartir con nuestra comunidad. Entonces, estoy agradecida por todo el apoyo que nos brindaron. A American on Track, por todo el equipo de apoyo que nos proporcionó también, y la ciudad, obviamente, de Buena Park por escuchar a la comunidad. Gracias.
Seríamos todas, Brittney. Muchas gracias.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for your stories. Those were really impactful and really speak from the heart. I can hear it. So thank you so much for all your work that you did in Buena Park with America on Track. Thank you so much. We can go ahead and go to our next presenters, the Belong Together Coalition. Nabila, if you can grant me access to share my screen.
Absolutely. And then just to note, the remaining presentations will be in English. So if you'd like to turn off translation, go ahead and do so. Okay, Brittany, you should be able to do the screen share.
Okay, thank you. Let me know when you can view my screen.
Yes, you can see it.
Okay. All right, Billy, it's all yours.
Hi everyone, thank you for having us today. We are the Belong Together Coalition in Buena Park. Next slide, please. Hello, my name is Billy Ramirez, and I'm a junior student who attends John F. Kennedy High School. My experience in the Youth Coalition consists of creating posters that were shared with the Buena Park City Council. I joined the Youth Coalition as it would help expand my leadership skills and offer me the opportunity to advocate for change in my city. I've noticed that kids have become more exposed to the dangers of nicotine and other drug products. This is prevalent among high schoolers as well as other junior high school students. With these excessive amounts of drugstores located primarily near children's schools, they are more susceptible to harming their youthfulness. I've had family members who have experienced drug abuse, which unfortunately led them to living an inadequate life path. That's what brings me here today, as I want others to avoid what I encountered, how drugs can ultimately change your life. I also have peers who suffer from drug addiction, as it severely distracts them from their schooling and is harmful for their brain structure. In conclusion, we are grateful for the tobacco retail license favor ban, as it protects not only me, but future generations. And I'll pass it now to Shahaj.
Hello, my name is Sahaj, a student attending John F. Kennedy High School as a junior. In terms of personal experience, I first joined this club because of my first-hand witness of the issue of tobacco store density. Students can easily obtain or get products because of so many tobacco stores near our school, and some of my friends have also fell under this message. I don't want any of my friends nor my school peers to fall under the influence of tobacco products. Let's continue advocating for the future of our public health. I'll now pass the mic on to Rosie.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosie Guzman. However, you can all call me Rosie. And I'm a part of the Belong Together Youth Coalition, and I attend John F. Kennedy High School in Buena Park as a junior. Now, the reason why I care about the issue at hand is because being on the issue of tobacco products being within our community in the hands of youth, and the reason why I care about this issue is that tobacco products being within our community in the hands of youth is because I wish to keep the youths in our community innocent of the harmful effects that tobacco products can have on their lives. As a youth who watched their peers turn to tobacco products as they grew with their age, I found it imperative that we as a community come together to combat this issue together, to protect our youth, to protect the incoming generations, to protect the community's future of tomorrow. That is why I care. Now I'll pass it on over to Sahaj. I'll pass it over to Billy.
The Youth Coalition consists of 9 members, and we have been an active team for about 2 years. Our primary focus is striving to educate Buena Park youth on the dangers of vaping and further promote the newly adopted tobacco retail license ban. It is an occurring problem of having tobacco stores near school campuses, which increases youth smoking rates. There have been nearly half of public schools in Buena Park that are within 100 feet of a tobacco store. Both Buena Parks and junior high schools are surrounded by tobacco stores, displaying the dangers that threaten these children. One of the successful outcomes of this youth coalition was being able to help pass the tobacco retail flavor ban. In these upcoming months, we seek to further create change in order to promote risk of tobacco usage by posting educational content that would inform others of the dangers of tobacco. Next slide, please. Some of the activities the Youth Coalition have done are meetings with decision makers, such as Zoom conferences with Councilwomen Susan Sohn and Elizabeth Swift. We also wrote letters to editors to spread awareness, like submitting the letter to the editors to Buena Park City Council as an e-public comment. Also, we are planning to submit these comments to local newspapers, present virtual educational presentations to community partners. We have provided virtual educational presentations to the Buena Park Boys and Girls Club and Buena Park City Council study session with partner organization America on Track. We further provided public comments, like submitted e-public comments and in-person public comments to our Buena Park City Council to voice our support towards protecting the health of my peers. I will now pass the slides to Sahaj.
Now, one of our many involvements was meeting with decision makers. Due to the COVID pandemic, our coalition had to do many online presentations in order to further spread our ideas regarding the dangers of vape products and their effects. In this session, we made posters to display our immense gratitude to the council members for listening to our concerns for the public health. On a further note, we would also like to give our appreciation towards Councilwoman Susan Sonny and her diligence with working with our youth in order to keep our peers safe from tobacco products. This activity helped our coalition get a chance to do something impactful through the means of non-virtual involvements by making public comments in order to express our concerns. Moreover, this enforced ideas of the rightful protection of the youth and future generations that will follow. Next slide, please. Now, the next involvement our coalition had proceeded through was the series of letters to editor. This was an important activity to complete so that our decision makers could further identify our goals throughout this coalition. These were submitted to the Buena Park City Council as e-public comments in order to display our goals of better public health. And our next steps are to successfully send these letters to local newspapers as journal entries so that our community is fully aware of the impacts of tobacco products in the perspective of youth themselves. In this slide, the letters by Alyssa Harita, Jessica Harita, Rocio Guzman, and myself, Sahaj, are being showcased. We also included personal information and why this means so much to us so that our public can hear our concerns. Next slide, please. Aside from the letters to the editors, we also did a series of educational presentations to further inform others about our concerns. Due to the COVID pandemic, as we mentioned, these meetings were done virtually in order to further advocate for our public health, overall public health. One of these online presentations was done with our partner organization, America on Track, in order to present a study session to City Hall meeting on March 23rd. This presentation can be seen on the bottom right-hand corner of the slide. Moreover, one of our coalition members, Rosie, did online presentations with a health educator at the Buena Park Boys and Girls Club and for the Orange County Healthcare Agency's Youth Summit. The preparations of these meetings helped us gain a lot of experience and also got us involved with preceding actions in order to protect our community's health and future generations. I will now pass the mic on to Rosie.
You're muted.
Continuing on, another one of the activities that the Belong Together Youth Coalition has done was participate in creating public comments. During these activities, members would be given the opportunity to submit their comments to town hall meetings. In fact, during the public hearing back in July, 2 of our coalition members were able to attend the in-person town hall meeting about the passing of the flavored tobacco product law that would be able to protect the future of our community by setting out to protect the youth of tomorrow. Although many coalition members were unable to attend the in-person town hall meeting to present their public comment because of the threat of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, They were able to virtually submit their comment for it to be presented on their behalf and for their voice to be heard before the council members. Now, I would like to present to you all a short clip of our very own coalition member, Sahaj, presenting her public comment for the public hearing that took place on July 27th of this year. Please play the presented video.
Possible, just so we make sure we hear you.
Hello, my name is Sahaj Kaur, a member of the Belong Together Coalition. I'm 15 years old and a Buena Park resident. Our initial goal is to reduce youth access to flavored tobacco products by educating our peers. I've been personally impacted by previous everyday occurrences of not being able to enter school bathrooms without the strong smell of e-cigarettes and weed products. It's important to reduce youth access to tobacco and flavored products in order to protect me, my friends, and future generations. Over 100 communities in California have passed policies like this to protect their residents. I believe we deserve the same protections. Please take action tonight to protect me and my friends from a lifetime of addiction. Thank you.
Next slide, please. In this slide is a continuation of our public comment activities in which our coalition member, Sam, is presenting her public comment back in July. Now we're going to play the video. Please.
Honorable Mayor Trout, Mayor Pro Tem Park, and City Council members, good evening. I'm Samia Patan, a member of the Belong Together Coalition. I am 15 years old and a resident of Buena Park. As a coalition, our goal is to educate other Buena Park youths about the dangers of vaping. Both Buena Park's junior high and high school are near tobacco retailers. These schools serve nearly 3,000 students at ages of high vulnerability to tobacco addiction and advertising influence. Thank you for addressing this important issue, and we applaud the Buena Park City Council for creating a very strong ordinance that will protect me and my peers. Please take action tonight to protect me and my friends from a lifetime of addiction. Thank you.
Next slide, please. And now, we would like to take this opportunity to share the certificate as a token of our appreciation to the Buena Park City Council on behalf of the American Lung Association and the Belong Together Youth Council. Thank you for your support and for expanding the protection of Buena Park youth's health from all flavored tobacco products by adopting comprehensive tobacco retail license and flavor ban policy. Thank you once again for your support on this matter. Next slide, please. As well, on behalf of the Orange County Tobacco and Vape Free Coalition and the Orange County Healthcare Agency, we wish to share the certificate of appreciation as a token of our appreciation. Now I'll pass it on to Billy.
In recognition for promoting a healthy, tobacco-free future by adopting a tobacco retail license program, banning flavored tobacco products and coupons, and updating the definition of smoking to include all sources of secondhand smoke. I'd like to pass it to Shahaj.
On behalf of the Belong Together Coalition, we would like to give our sincerest gratitude for your support by passing this policy, as it means a lot to us, as this will furthermore help the youth and future generations. Next slide, please. If you would like any additional information or also play a part in our growth, please follow our social media page at Belong Together. Moreover, if you have any additional questions or comments, please email belongtogetherbp@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Brittney, there's a couple of comments in the chat that I think you'd like to read out to your coalition.
Let me go through them. Wasn't able to see them. Let's see. So we're receiving some comments saying, excellent, Sam. Great job, Belong Youth. Keep up the amazing work. Bravo. Thank you, City of Buena Park, to approve this ordinance. Thank you, City of Buena Park. And then in Spanish, thank you to our youth. You guys are a great example for other leaders in the community and other communities. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And then Belong Together, you are all amazing, from Esther, who we actually worked with in the past. So thank you so much. this is now the opportunity to ask any questions to our presenters or comments, if you may all have any.
We just request that you put it in the chat box, please.
Oh, yeah. Are there any questions that anyone has at this time? Or comments?
Buenas tardes, soy Jacqueline. Yo tengo una pregunta para los jóvenes. Yo soy una madre. Yo creo que cualquier madre tendría esta pregunta. Ustedes comentan que son un grupo de jóvenes de la preparatoria Kennedy que están en este grupo de trabajo, pero este es un proyecto que ustedes por su cuenta propia están llevando a cabo. Es por parte del distrito escolar, en este caso de la preparatoria Kennedy, no sé si sea Cypress, o cómo es que ustedes hacen este tipo de labor, porque esto es muy inspirador realmente para proponerlo para otras preparatorias.
Gracias, Jacqueline. So Jacqueline's asking, she has a question for our Belong Together Youth Council. So how is it that you guys got involved in the Youth Council, and is this something that you guys did on your own, or is it a part of the district? Because I have students, I have kids of my own, and I think this is very inspiring. So that was her question. So if Billy, Sam, or Rosie, you guys can chime in and answer, and then I'll translate it over in Spanish.
I first got a hold of this opportunity in the Buena Park Library when I first met you, and I joined this because I had personal connections with this topic because most of my friends also do like products, they use products like these, so I thought that it's like good for me to retain information so I could further help them. So yeah.
Dice Sahash que ella se involucró con este programa cuando yo hice una presentación a la librería. Entonces, el programa de la coalición es un programa con la Asociación Americana del Pulmón, y entonces así se involucró ella cuando hice mi presentación en la librería de Buena Park. Thank you, Claire, for the heads up. Ramona, go ahead.
Hola, buenas tardes. Pues casi es la misma pregunta con la señora. O a acceder aquí para nuestros jóvenes, hacer ese llamado a nuestros jóvenes. Tenemos un distrito muy grande de 8 preparatorias y tenemos dos juniors, ¿verdad? En el distrito de Buena Park. A mí sí me gustaría pues darle mucho más alcance a los jóvenes que son por los que trabajan. Hay muchos tal vez niños jóvenes interesados, pero no saben dónde buscar cómo integrarse y todo eso y trabajar. Sé que en otras ciudades hay un grupo fuerte de jóvenes. Creo que estuvimos en una junta, creo que La Habra también tiene un grupo fuerte de jóvenes que están trabajando eso, y sería buena empezar eso también con los jóvenes acá, para que sean ejemplo, y más que nada porque se trabaja para ellos, ¿verdad? Yo digo trabajo porque yo abogo mucho por la juventud, porque son nuestro futuro. Gracias.
Gracias, Ramona. Thank you, Ramona. So do you guys want to answer that, Billy, Sahash, or Rosie?
The question in the chat?
Yes.
Or about what would you say was the most proud moment?
Oh, actually, what Ramona was asking, she was asking, how do we get our youth involved in these kind of coalitions, or how do we, educate our youth?
I'll just say how we educate our youth through our social media and just spreading awareness of the Belong Coalition. That's how I heard it. was from one of my friends, and I was extremely like interested in joining the Belong Together coalition. Just hearing about it, like creating change within our city, I was just kind of enticed by it. So I feel like, yeah, just through educating others through social media and just talking about it more is a good way of spreading awareness of it.
Awesome, thank you. And then the question in the chat box, what would you say was the most proud moment for you? What other positive, healthy changes would you like to see in the city of Buena Park? And this question is for the Belong Together coalition as well. So Rosie, you want to chime in and answer that?
I feel like for me, like my most proud moment while being in this coalition was like when I had the meeting with Councilmember Suzanne Song. And that was like, just by talking to her and being able to speak to her on why this matter was important and receiving back her support after the meeting, it was just one of the proudest moments that I had while being in this coalition, because it shows that someone does care, that we're not just speaking to avoid, that there are people listening to us, and that change has been done, and that can be seen through this policy. So that would have to be one of my proudest moments of being in this coalition.
Awesome, Rosie. We're happy to hear that. Billy, do you want to share one of your greatest moments or proudest moments in the coalition? And then Zahash, you can also share.
Okay, I'll just say like presenting today was probably one of my proudest moments because I'm a new member of the coalition, and this was my first time presenting being in the coalition towards like city council members. So I'm just proud of myself for going through with that, and also proud of like supporting a cause that I strongly believe in, because I have family members who have suffered from drug addiction, and just seeing that I can make a change within my community is something that I admire.
Thank you, Billy. Sahaj, you want to share?
One of my most proudest moments were when we made the public comments, because I felt like everything that we worked for was finally coming together and forming something. So I think like our involvements like helped with that policy.
Thank you. I see another question in the chat box. I think this one's directed for the Director of Community Service in Buena Park, Matt. So will there be a follow-up in assessing the efficacy of the flavor ban to see the impact of this ordinance? Someone's asking.
So I think the answer is yes. We'd be happy to probably report back, and there's probably a desire from the council, although there hasn't been a specific request from the council for that. But we're happy to provide regular updates on both the number of licenses issued, number of complaints received, number of enforcement actions. You're not going to see that till end of 2022. But yeah, we're maybe it's the FIT committee, or maybe it's a group with Claire's help. But we'd be happy to come back and kind of report the outcomes of the ordinance after it's been in effect for 6 to 12 months. Yeah, happy to do that.
Awesome, thank you. I don't see any other questions in the chat box. Oh, Esther has a question. Okay. So what other positive, healthy changes would you like to see in the city of Buena Park? Is this just a general question, Esther, or directed for Belong Together?
Buena idea, que contesten ellos, claro.
I think we can also open this question up to the Flavors Workgroup too. So what other positive, healthy changes would you like to see in the city of Buena Park?
Well, I know that we had started talking before this came up. We had been talking in the FIT committee about smoke-free outdoor locations in the city of Buena Park. So I'm hoping that we, as a FIT committee and other partners, will get back to that conversation. And I'm hopeful that some of the Belong youth And that partnership might be interested in supporting those types of efforts as well to reduce exposure to secondhand smoke and really continue on the path of keeping people in Buena Park healthy when it comes to any type of tobacco use or secondhand smoke exposure.
Yeah, Claire, I actually wanted to ask on that note. I know America on Track is also working on smoke-free, right? Smoke-free Buena Park. What are your next steps for that?
So we will be regrouping again. We had started with key informant interviews and surveys. So now we will regroup at the next FIT meeting now that we were able to celebrate and enjoy this and take a little breather from a lot of intense work. But the next steps will be at the next FIT committee meeting to really talk about who wants to be involved in that. And then a little bit of the same process as getting a group of engaged adults and youth who want to support that and collect more public opinion poll surveys, endorsements, and data around the issue. I know in one of the things we're doing in Santa Ana right now that we can do in Buena Park is a tobacco waste pickup event where we are looking at, is there an impact, a physical impact on the community of smoking out in the community? So we're doing that in October in Santa Ana, and we can certainly do that before the end of the year in Buena Park. And that's a fun one. So if your youth would be interested in participating with us, that's always a fun event. And continuing to educate the community on the harms of secondhand smoke and seeing where we can go from there in terms of in early 2022 scheduling presentations and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be a lot of room for collaboration with our youth council and the amazing parent work group. And after hearing their stories today, it really spoke to my heart because I can really hear the passion that they have for the Buena Park community. So thank you so much. A final question to our youth council. I wanted to ask you kind of the same question. So what is next for the Belong Together Coalition? So Billy, Sahasha, Rosie, if you guys can chime in on that question.
I feel like our next step within the coalition would be to continue advocating for a cleaner future for our youth and to keep tobacco products away from them and to reduce the amount of products that are in their area so that way they're not tempted to get to it. And also I feel like we should strive mainly to start increasing the amount of youth that we get involved within our community just in general, and also to add in how much youth involvement in our coalition as well, so that way we can all put our minds together so that way we can find what else needs to be reformed within our community and to see like what other new ideas that they have, because they are the future of our community, and it's important that we together we strive to find to reform what they see as unfit within our community and solve it.
Thank you, Rosie. Did you want to add anything, Billy?
I'll just say kind of like hooking on, like I feel like a goal of ours should be like trying to expand like the youth coalition members, like have more kids who favor like the fight against like drug usage. I feel like it's important that I feel like other kids have the same ideals as us, and it'd be important to like have more people involved in this so more people can be more aware of our situation.
Right, thank you. Is there any other questions, comments before I allocate some time to complete the post survey? Don't see any in the chat box. Oh, go ahead, Norma.
Sí, bueno, yo quería hacer un comentario, ¿verdad? Veo que para llevar a cabo todo esto siempre es importante la unión, ¿verdad? Entre cada miembro de la comunidad. Por ejemplo, nosotros como equipo de mamás, ¿verdad? Porque nosotros somos el equipo de mamás, tuvimos el apoyo entre nosotras mismas, ¿verdad? Cooperar una con la otra, el apoyar el uno a la otra. Y veo que lo mismo con los jóvenes. Eso a mí en lo personal me inspira mucho. Me encantaría, ¿verdad?, que todos nuestros jóvenes pensaran igual que ellos. Estoy emocionada porque yo tengo 2 jóvenes y me gustaría que ellos en algún futuro también pudieran hacer lo mismo, ¿verdad? Interesarse por su comunidad, por sus amigos, sus vecinos. Entonces, pues nada más quiero decir, ¿verdad?, que para que esto se pudiera llevar a cabo fue un conjunto de residentes, ciudad, organizaciones. Entonces, hay que mantenernos así, fuertes y unidos. Gracias.
Thank you, Norma. Ramona?
Brittany, can you translate that for the English
Oh,
speakers?
yes, my apologies. I thought Anna was translating. My apologies.
She's translating from English to Spanish, but
Okay,
not
got
the
it.
other direction.
So what Norma was saying is that she appreciates our youth council and also the work that they did with America on Track. And she has 2 kids that she would like to be a part of something like a youth coalition. So she is always happy to hear the youth's aspect and side point of view with this issue. So she's really happy to see that. And moving forward, she hopes to still collaborate with the youth council and other partner organizations. So she's really happy about that. Ramona? Ramona tiene una pregunta.
Oh, sí iba a hablar, pero como fue la interpretación, ya no pude decir nada. No, pues casi iba a decir lo mismo que la señora Norma. Sí, fue un trabajo muy duro, muy difícil, porque ya que fue en medio de la pandemia, pero el haber hecho el trabajo en conjunto, en colaboración, el que las tiendas o comunidades en general, los parques, recibir llamadas, eso fue importante, ¿verdad? Y el apoyo también del consejo, ir a los meetings, todo fue una colaboración de la comunidad, de los jóvenes y de organizaciones y de tiendas también, pues, que apoyaron esta ordenanza. Y pues a continuar adelante, porque ahorita hay que volver a empezar a trabajar otra y a seguir trabajando en conjunto. Yo siempre digo que cada uno es un paso de un rompecabezas. Todas tenemos muchas habilidades fuertes y al unirnos se hace más fuerte. Entonces son pasos chicos que van a llevar a pasos grandes y a seguir apoyando a otras comunidades que también quieran empezar este tipo de trabajo, pues también a colaborar y apoyar, así como también vinieron líderes a apoyar a nosotros. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. So Ramona was just sharing her thoughts again with you can do so much with collaborating with other partner organizations, all the work that they did with making phone calls, completing the surveys, like doing that grassroots work, that she's so happy to be a part of that with America on Track. But again, she's happy to have been collaborating with other partner organizations and hopes to do the same for the next couple of months. Thank you, Ramona. Okay, someone has their hand. Oh, okay, I think that was Ramona. ¿Tiene alguna otra pregunta o se le olvidó bajar la manita? Oh, thank you. She had her hand up. She forgot to.
Ya la bajé.
Gracias. Okay, and there's a comment in the chat box. Ana Lilia, she says it's exciting to see this presentation and to see, oh, it's moving fast. Above all the effort of these young people who worry at an early age about these problems. Instead of wasting time playing video games or walking around wasting time, it is very motivating to see them. They are great examples to continue. And then fantastic work to ALA, AOT, Belong Together, AOT Workgroup, Orange County Healthcare Agency, and Buena Park City. Thank you. Jacqueline.
Sí, rapidito, nada más, sí quería, corroborar lo que han dicho mis compañeras. Sí, primero que líderes somos padres y realmente estamos muy, muy, emocionados con el trabajo de estos jóvenes y claro que sí, hay que colaborar con ellos, hay que apoyarlos para atraer a más jóvenes, porque realmente ellos son los futuros líderes que van a hacer los cambios.
Gracias, Jacqueline. So Jacqueline was sharing that before their leadership roles, they are parents. So they, again, want to echo that collaboration is really important and that they hope to collaborate again with the Youth Council and other partner organizations. So they're very thankful for that and hope to see more changes in the future.
You're muted, Brittney.
Oops, sorry. Thank you, Claire. There's two post-survey links in the chat box. One is in Spanish and English, and the other is in Korean. So if you guys can go ahead and complete that before leaving the meeting, that would be great. And we would allocate about 2 minutes of your time to complete those surveys there. So if you can just react with a little thumbs up once you complete it, that would be awesome. Thank you. So I'm seeing a few thumbs up. We'll give another minute or two, just in case. All right, if you need any more time, please let me know in the chat box. Otherwise, I think we're pretty much done.
We definitely want to give some appreciation to some of the, obviously all of our presenters today. Thank you so much for your personal stories, your advice, your feedback, and we are just so lucky to have people in the community who care so much about this issue to actually do something about it. So thank you so much. We want to definitely give a big thank you to Esther Lee, who's on video chat right now. She's been so wonderful in translating so many of our materials from English to Korean. So thank you so much for doing that. The America on Track staff who provided the interpretation today as well, Ana Chavez and Alejandra Cook, thank you so much. And also Joyce An, thank you again, thank you as well for providing interpretation today. And participating in the tech check this afternoon. This is my first time running a Zoom room with interpretation. So, different challenges every day, and I really appreciate it. And Claire was the one who even brought it to our attention that this was even possible. So thank you so much, Claire, for helping put all of this together. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to the Buena Park City staff as well. Again, partner organization America on Track, the America on Track Flavors Work Group, and our Belong Together Youth Council. Thank you everyone, and thank you for everyone that joined in today. Thank you so much.
Great teamwork, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Great weekend.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.